Here's a sneak peek from today's episode.
So you invest in recruiting those people, but then you also support those people and allow them enough space and room to grow and develop and try new things, take these calculated risks, get it wrong sometimes, but then learn from those things, get it right in a spectacular way because they're not tied down by the inability to explore. So it starts there. You gave my secret away. So now everybody's going to start doing it. The secret is people, hiring people with a heart and a mind and a soul for this work that we do.
Welcome to the Content Amplified podcast, brought to you by Masset. Our goal is to help you get more from your marketing content. Each episode is a 10 to 15 minute interview with industry experts that share amazing insights to help you squeeze as much juice from your content as you possibly can. Here's today's interview.
Welcome back to another episode of Content Amplified. Today I'm joined by Denise and Anastasia. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us, Ben.
Thank you for having us. We're excited about it.
I am so excited. This is going to be a ton of fun. One of my favorite things is when we have a group of people on the podcast, you get so many cool perspectives. I feel like it's a little bit more comfortable, so we see a little bit of personality come out. It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
I've had different kind of people on here, and there's been arguments, all sorts of stuff. I'm not expecting that from the both of you today, but it's going to be fun.
You don't know.
It's family.
Well, as we get started, before we dive into the subject, we'd love to get to know both of you. Let's start with Denise. Tell us a little bit about your career and all that kind of stuff, and then we'll go to you, Anastasia.
Well, thank you so much, Ben. Yeah, I'm Denise Burkhalter. I'm the National Director of Communications for the Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. We call ourselves NFTE, N-F-T-E, NFTE. And I'm a member of the American Public Relations Society of America as well. I've been with NFTE about 3 years now. NFTE is a global nonprofit that ignites the entrepreneurial mindset in youth around the world I think we're in about 28 states here in the U.S. and we're in 31 total countries, and we're reaching about 60 to 70,000 young people each year. And I have the pleasure of leading the world's best nonprofit marketing and communications team. I am biased and I do not apologize, so don't expect me to. We have Anastasia Kuchiska, who is the very best at digital communications and social media content development. And she's joining me today, and I wanted to just toss it to her and allow her to introduce herself.
Thank you, Denise, for such a sweet introduction. And Ben, that you imagine, that's how all meetings. So every Thursday we meet with our small team, and for 5 minutes we give each other praise and say how amazing we are. It helps the team, especially in a nonprofit setting. We need the positive affirmations every day and every week. But I'm Anastasia Kuchiska. I'm digital communications coordinator here at NFTE, Network for Teaching Entrepreneurship. I've been with NFTE for 2+ years, slowly catching up to Denise with 3 years. Excited to be there and talk about social media, nonprofit, and everything else.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, we're going to have a really fun episode today. It's going to follow a pattern. So if you're listening, stick with us because there's going to be a little bit of shift. And let me kind of explain the process for today. We're going to start off with Denise, who's going to talk about leadership and really how to enable people on your content team to do their best work and to really bring the best out of them. How to create this environment that really lets them thrive. And what's great is we're going to get a firsthand example of someone in that environment with Anastasia, and she's going to talk about social media, how to use those platforms, some tactical advice, things like that. So that's kind of the flow for today's episode. So to kick this off, Denise, how do we foster a really cool culture and environment where people and content can really thrive and succeed?
You know, that's one of the things I absolutely love about working in the nonprofit space. You usually get to work with people who are driven by the mission. And like I said, our mission at NFTE is to ignite the entrepreneurial mindset in young people all around the world. And who does not love that? We have a natural ability to tell some really wonderful and heartwarming stories. And generally in the nonprofit space, of course, that means that you're dependent upon things like donations and community support, volunteer efforts, and that's all wonderful. But it tends to mean that nonprofits have small teams who have to accomplish some really large things on a large scale, in our case, serving so many countries. And so with 4 people, how do you do all the things that an organization or a corporation can do, with dozens in each of our seats? And the way you do that is you invest in recruiting the right people with the right mindset, who have this heart for a mission, but also know how to be strategic and how to be creative and innovative and take risks. So you invest in recruiting those people, but then you also support those people and allow them enough space and room to grow and develop and try new things, take these calculated risks, get it wrong sometimes, but then learn from those things, get it right in a spectacular way because they're not tied down by the inability to explore. So it starts there. You gave my secret away. So now everybody's going to start doing it. The secret is people, hiring people with a heart and a mind and a soul for this work that we do. At Nifty, like I said, I'm going into my 3rd year. We're starting that in March, but we're doing this huge swing in a market that all of us are feeling right now is a little bit strained. The world of earned media, when you can get reporters to cover stories that are really important to us, that's becoming more difficult as journalism starts to shrink a bit. And so we're really focused a lot on our own channels, the social media channels, our website, our newsletters and other things, mass emails, etc. How do we sort of match those 4 Ps of marketing, the price, product, place, and promotion with the 4 Cs of content creation, making sure that we just not only create the content, but that we're curating that content, that we're connecting that content to convert our customers, and that we're doing our best job to have the face of our organization front and center when people are thinking about entrepreneurship. And it all goes back to creative people like Anastasia.
I love that. That's amazing. And I've never actually heard the connection from the 4 Ps to the 4 Cs. I love that. I was in college and got a marketing degree, and I remember hearing about the 4 Ps. I really wish I would have heard about 4 Cs and how to connect those and how it makes an impact. I love it. That's so awesome. So making a quick transition here to Anastasia, what does it feel like to be on a team where genuinely from an outside perspective, I feel like you're enabled to do your best work? What does that feel like as a member of the team from your perspective?
I feel respected and I feel valued member. Like as Denise mentioned, we give the freedom to do whatever we want to do. But of course, in terms of Nifty, what allowed, we need to make sure like following bread guidelines and all of that. But we have an opportunity to express ourselves, to bring something new, to test something, and just feels that we are bringing something valuable to the team and to our community, Nifty community, like students, volunteers, like the whole supporter team.
I love that. So from what I'm understanding, and correct me, Denise and Anastasia, the keys here, obviously creating, an environment where people feel like they can do their best work, the freedom to make mistakes, and the ability to be extremely creative. Like that's highly encouraged, not something that you're going to have to beat out of someone and get that to go away. And then during the hiring process, you're finding those kinds of people that would thrive in that environment. Is that a fair assessment?
Absolutely. And going back to the sort of mistakes piece, that's a scary space for a lot of people to be in, particularly when you're dealing with an organization that is completely full of former educators, right? So it makes you nervous. I used to be a teacher, so it makes me nervous. I was a long-term substitute teacher for 7th and 8th grade math many moons ago. But it's also something that we teach our students. So we teach our students the ability to identify what others would see as an opportunity to fail as an opportunity to succeed, to be flexible and adaptable, to create in a space where no man dares to go. So we teach our students how to fail forward. And I think it's only right for us to allow our team to fail forward as well. And again, because we're a nonprofit organization, you're not going to be able to attract someone with the type of pay scale that nonprofits generally have, who is, 20 years into the field and at the very, very tip top of their game. But there's wonder and beauty at growing people to get to that stage, and then sort of watching them. I mean, it's almost like you're building this next generation of, people who are going to fill my seat and allowing us then the opportunity to advance in our careers as well. So yeah, it's one of my favorite things about coaching and growing people in nonprofit spaces, that ability to learn from mistakes and grow from those mistakes.
I agree, Denise and Ben. I made the share of my mistakes, like starting with Nifty, and sweat a lot of tears, sweat liquid sweat, and everything was coming out of me, basically. We'll forget about that. But it kind of brought me to a new path. Like, I learned a lot throughout this, and my communication skills got better from this too, because it learned me how I need to relay my message to people, how I need to organize my schedule, how to multitask, and how to manage the whole team and myself in that space.
You see
I
how
love
great
it.
she is? Look at that.
Yeah.
I paid her.
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks.
That's a good cadence. I love that. So Anastasia, let's dive into the social media side of things. You're in this amazing environment. What does that translate to on social media? What is that taking your social media to? What advice do you have in that space?
In general, being in the nonprofit space and social media is a little bit challenging, as Denise mentioned before, we try to raise money for our programs. We try to recruit volunteers. So how we decided to do it is to start storytelling, because who tells the story best is, of course, our supporters. They know the best. They are the one in the seat there. They train with our students. They involve in the programs. So that's our approach right now. We try to reach out to everyone possible who has an amazing story to share. And we get to interview them, talk to them, and learn something from them. And as well, share on our social media channels about that. And that's what notice the most. Something kind of like user-generated content brings the most value to us, and we see the shareable content of that. But as well, not sticking only to our Nifty community. I noticed that what helps the most is something related to youth entrepreneurship in general, but something that's shareable and people would love it. Like, for example, for Halloween, we did what scare a business owner in one sentence, and we did a little like nice prompts with it. And that I noticed a lot of our community shared that, because it's something relevant to them. It's something funny. And as well, it brings visibility to Nifty, to us.
I love
Yeah,
that.
one of my favorite pieces that Anastasia did was, and I asked her to do it, and I wasn't sure she was going to do it or not. Again, I don't dictate, I encourage. And so I said, I want to do one of those little funny videos of educators saying, of course
Okay.
I'm a Nifty educator. Of course I'm a Nifty teacher. And to my surprise, she actually did it. And it was fantastic. It was a look behind the veil of what being a Nifty educator is all about. And it's connected Nifty educators to other teachers who are dealing with the same things in their classrooms day in and day out. So it makes human the work that we do every day. And she does a fantastic job at it.
I love that. And it sounds like a core component here that I'm hearing is telling stories. And it doesn't sound like it's just your stories. You're telling everyone's stories related to the group and to the nonprofit. I think every business can take an insight from here, because when we look at most social media content for businesses, if we're completely honest, the business is the hero of the show. And nobody cares. And it's a lot more fun when it's the customer. So how do you tell these stories? Like, what formats? You said it's a smaller team. You probably don't have Hollywood level budgets for filming and things like that. How can we do better at this?
So the important thing is team, not only our marketing team, but the whole regional teams that, like, as Denise mentioned, I'm sure you mentioned, but we have we are 7 regions around the US. And so we have 7 amazing teams that we reach out and buck a lot out of them, because like I have email communication, meetings set up, and asking them, who do you have? Whose story can I share? And what can we do with them? Because it also, like, they love seeing their stories online, and it kind of helps us with visibility and helps them as well, and brings more volunteers on that end. But it's different formats, whatever is easier for people. Whenever I write an email, I always suggest we can jump on a call for a phone, Zoom meeting, or just email if it's easier for you just to write your questions, and I can send you approval later. And for social media purposes, I love doing carousels, because it's like tells the story better. Like, from one page to another, you can see kind of like development of that person throughout it. Love videos. Videos a little bit more complicated, as our nonprofit is fully remote. So we want to be particular things. So when we get a chance to meet twice a year in New York, I get to jump on this call basically and record as many people as I can to share all the reels and TikToks throughout the year. And of course, we use our website, as Denise mentioned. We love sharing website stories just as a bigger piece when we link to social media, from social media post to website, as we want to see more website users.
Absolutely. And another benefit that we have is that we don't have to rely, I really do want that Hollywood budget and I'm going to keep working toward it. But until we get there, one of the benefits that we have is our wonderful list of partners. We have global partners all around the world who are telling our story in their countries. But we also have corporate partners like Citi and EY and Santander, SAP, and others who are doing a fantastic job supporting us, but they also allow us opportunities to sort of share in their channels and their storytelling from time to time. So that is truly helpful. We're working at the moment with developing a relationship with Inc. magazine, for example, and Fast Company. And so anytime we can have opportunities like that, it just helps amplify our stories and our content in ways that we cannot do on a nonprofit budget at the moment. But that's one of the wonderful things of having the support of volunteers and corporate supporters like that, is that they can amplify for us.
And I
That's
recently
amazing.
read an article saying that usually organically, social media accounts grow from 0.1% to 1% in a month. So doing that without supporters is almost impossible, basically, to have the growth that we want to need. So this helps us to reach where we want to be with amazing supporters that we have.
I love that. Well, Denise and Anastasia, we are out of time as promised. This goes by quick. If anyone wants to reach out and connect with you online, I know it's too fast. We'll have to do another one sometime. If anyone wants to reach out and connect with either of you online, how and where can they find you?
They can find us at nfte.org. That's nifty. I'm sorry, nifty.com. te.com. That's nifty.com. Or they can find us online on social media most of our channels are at Nifty, at NFTE. And of course, you can send us an email anytime, marketing@nifty.com.
I love it. Well, thank you both again for the insights and the time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Ben.
Thank you for listening to the Content Amplified podcast. Please subscribe and leave us a review. And for additional ways to get more out of your content, visit our website at getmasset.com. That's getmasset.com. And tune in next time to the Content Amplified podcast.